and welcome back to the Amy Ormisher Fitness Podcast. If you're new here and you don't know who I am, my name is Amy and I am an evidence-based nutritionist that specialises in women's fat loss. I have worked in this space now for 10 years. I was a personal trainer for 6 years. Lockdown hit, took the business online and have stayed online ever since. So I've been doing this for a lot of time, worked with thousands of women and helped them achieve incredible results through sustainable fat loss. So everything that I teach on this podcast and everything I teach in my emails or my content is backed by science. So you know that you're in good hands and the information that I put out is trustworthy and designed to educate and empower you. Just in case you're wondering, why should I even be listening to you? I just thought I'd back that up, that I've got credentials so that I do know what I'm talking about. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different. Last week I sent an email asking, what do you want to know? Like, how can I help you? And any questions that you've got or any topics that you want me to discuss, let me know. So I've took a couple of them and a couple of your questions, and I'm going to answer them on today's podcast, because when you sent them in, a couple of them, I was like, oh my god, that's brilliant. Like, this is going to help so many people. And it's hard for me sometimes because I've got to try and come up with content ideas and I'm thinking, what do people want to know? Like, what do they want to learn about? But everyone's so different. So it just makes my life a bit easier when it comes to creating content, when people actually ask questions, because then I can speak about what you actually want to know. So, let's get into today's episode then. So, the first question was, do I have to calorie count to lose weight? And my answer to that is no. You do not have to track calories. You do not have to count calories if you want to lose weight. Humans have eaten and maintained their body weight for literally years before calorie counting was even a thing. And MyFitnessPal is relatively new. Like, it's a modern day invention. Like, MyFitnessPal only came about in around 2005. And prior to that, like, everybody was just maintaining a healthy body weight. And the way that we can, and I know a lot of people think, well, how do I know if I'm in a calorie deficit if I'm not counting my calories? And the answer to that is, you'll know if you're in a calorie deficit because you'll be losing weight. The scales will be coming down, your body fat will be coming down, you'll be getting leaner, more toned, defined, your clothes will fit better, they won't be as tight, they'll fit more comfortably. You'll notice the difference when you look in the mirror, how your body composition is changing. You might have you might feel more confident, and you'll just feel smaller, and your measurements will come down as well. So this is why it's so important when you go on a health and fitness journey that you don't use the scales as your sole indicator of progress, and you use other metrics such as how your clothes are fitting, you're taking your measurements on a weekly basis, taking your photos on a weekly basis, so that you've got other indicators of progress to track and other measurements to track to see how you're progressing over time, because the scales can fluctuate. And something that I tell all my clients to do when they start their journey is say, right, go and find a pair of jeans or a pair of shorts that you love, that used to fit, but maybe they're a bit snug now, or they don't fasten, or they don't feel very comfortable, because in a few weeks' time you'll easily be able to fit into them. And maybe take a photo in them now and take a photo in them every week, and just watch your journey unfold until the point where you can actually fasten them again and be comfortable in this item of clothing again. And that's a perfect way to track if your body's changing over time. If you're getting smaller, that means you're losing weight, and if your clothes are fitting better and you're getting back into smaller sizes again, then it's working. So I've just gone a little bit off track then. I do this, by the way, if you're new here. Tangents, or going off on tangents, is something that I do a lot. I think I've got undiagnosed ADHD, to be honest. But I feel like I channel my ADHD into like, sorry, I've got a tickle in my throat. I feel like I channel my ADHD, my overactive mind into positive things, like helping you guys or girls listen to this podcast with education. I'm quite creative in terms of creating programs and everything to do within the business. So yeah, I feel like I channel my ADHD quite well. But anyway, back to, do I have to count calories to lose weight? And no, we don't. And there's a couple of things that we can do to, if we don't want to track calories. So the 8-week program that I run, 8 weeks with Amy, for I think it was about 2.5 years, like none of the girls counted one single calorie. What I done was I created a done for you nutrition plan, and this is available to buy as well at any point. So if this is something that you want to purchase without joining the 8 weeks, just drop me a message saying done for you plan, and I'll send you over the payment link for that. And basically what I done was created a structured meal plan for people to follow. It was a calorie controlled meal plan for women to follow, which ensured that they hit the daily protein goal, which so many people don't do. It ensured that they hit their daily fat goal, which is so important for women from a health and hormonal standpoint. And it also ensured that it hit their daily fibre goal as well, again, which is something that all of us in the UK are just massively lacking. Our diet is so low in fibre, and again, fibre is so important from a health standpoint and for our gut health, to help with our gut microbiome, our gut diversity, and to keep us regular. And protein and fibre, when they're paired together, it is literally the perfect duo, the perfect marrying for fat loss, because when they're paired together, what they do is they fill you up and they keep you full for longer. So basically it's called they satiate you. So protein has is the most satiating macronutrients out of all the macronutrients. So you've got carbohydrates, fats and protein. They're your 3 macronutrients, and protein is the most satiating macronutrient, which basically means it keeps you full for longer. But then when you pair it with fibre, so fibre is usually naturally low in calories, but provides a lot of volume. So it takes up a lot of space in the stomach for hardly any calories. So when we combine something that's really satiating like protein with a lot of volume for lower calories, this is just a perfect duo for when you want to lose weight. So this is what the plan does. It removes all of the guesswork when it comes to nutrition and fat loss. So all you have to do is basically choose what you want for breakfast, lunch, dinner and snack. And again, I've took all the guesswork out of it for you and put it in that plan, and it's completely flexible. There's so much variety. It's perfect for the fussiest of eaters, and it just simplifies everything. And it works. It worked for 2.5 years and it's still working now. It's just that I did put calorie counting back into the 8 weeks that's running at the moment, just to see how people basically got on with calorie counting. But if you're someone that doesn't want to track calories, what I would say is you can definitely improve your nutrition and create a calorie deficit by focusing on portion control, having more regular balanced meals, so creating structure and routine to your eating habits. And this is something that I see when I start working with clients who don't have a routine when it comes to the nutrition, and they don't have many good nutritional habits in place, and the diets are lacking in protein, healthy fats, fibre, and is usually quite carbohydrate heavy. And there's nothing wrong with carbohydrates, by the way. It's all about balance over here. And usually the diet's quite high in refined sugar, processed and ultra processed foods, alcohol, takeaways, etc. And the reason why they struggle to lose weight or manage their weight is because the diet is quite calorie heavy. Whereas we can massively reduce our calorie intake when we focus on whole foods, single ingredient, nutrient dense whole foods. So reducing the amount of processed foods and ultra processed foods that we eat, and the amount of refined sugar and the amount to take out, and swapping that out for home cooked meals and cooking from scratch and eating predominantly like a whole food based diet, this is where like I say like the 80-20, but a more 90-10 now rule comes in. So 80% of the time focusing on single ingredient, nutrient dense whole foods, and then 10-20% of the time like allow yourself to have the things that you love and enjoy, so that it's sustainable for the long term, so that you don't get bored and absolutely hate your life because you haven't got no enjoyment in there in the form of chocolate or something like that. But again, if you're someone who's struggling to manage their weight because of cravings, and you do have a lot of refined sugar in your diet in the form of like dairy milk or Maltesers or whatever, swapping that out for dark chocolate initially might be like, ugh, I don't want to do that. But when you have a square of dark chocolate or 2 squares of dark chocolate, I guarantee you're not going to want to go back for more dark chocolate after that, because it's rich and it's also beneficial as well. Like, it's giving the body something back, like it's providing you with a lot of nourishment. Dark chocolate's actually rich in antioxidants, and also what's the vitamin that's in dark chocolate? Can't think now, but it's got magnesium in it as well, so it's so much better for you, and it'll actually stop you overeating on the refined sugar. Because when you think about when you have dairy milk chocolate, you only like you think, oh, I'll just have a little bit if you open a share bag, let's say, and you'll never just have a little bit. You'll always end up eating probably the majority of the packet because it's so moreish, it's so highly palatable. Whereas when you make sensible swaps to something like dark chocolate, you're naturally reducing the calorie intake anyway, because you're not overeating and overindulging on the refined sugar that's designed to make you want to eat more. And other things as well is such as balanced eating. Something that I notice when I start working with clients is that they don't have any balance when it comes to their meals. So they might be having like toast or cereal or a breakfast bar for breakfast. And this is actually just made me remember something. So my mum works in for the NHS, and she works in like a doctor's surgery, and I went into the office a couple of weeks ago, and she said she'd started a little diet because she was going on holidays. So I was like, oh, what are you having for breakfast? And so I've just got these little healthy breakfast bars. And I was like, Mum, they are not going to do you any favours. Where's your protein? Where's your fibre? Where's your healthy fats? And she was like, but it says that they're good for breakfast, they're good to start the day. And I was just like, oh, God, these bloody marketing claims have still got people in bloody chokeholds. I was just like, but yeah, me mum doesn't, she doesn't care. But yeah, there's still definitely a lot of education that needs to be done, because them breakfast bars are not providing anyone any benefits, and they're not going to sustain your hunger or keep you satiated for very long. All they're going to do is give you a nice big influx of carbohydrates, and within an hour which is going to spike your blood sugars, and then in an hour or two time you're going to be wondering why you feel a bit shit and your energy's on the floor and you need more chocolate as a little pick-me-up. And it's because of the crash in blood sugars, because you've just had solely carbohydrates. So this is why balanced nutrition is so important, that you have for breakfast, you're having like at least a protein, a fat and fibre in that meal. You can add a carbohydrate in as well if you want to, but this is where you've got to become a detective with your own body and think and have a little listen to your body's signals and how your body's responding to certain meals. Because some people don't do well with carbohydrates in the morning, and they might, or at lunchtime, and they might feel a bit sluggish, a bit tired, whereas they feel like if they just have protein, fats and fibre in a meal, that it fills them up nicely, it's not too heavy, and it sustains their hunger, keeps the blood sugars nice and stable, so that they can just go from breakfast to lunch without constant cravings and constant food noise and hunger and things. And this is so important to have balanced nutrition in breakfast, lunch, dinner, and also planned snacks as well. So when I spoke about earlier, having that structure and having that routine, it's so important, I think, for as a nutritionist, that people have regular eating intervals, because we want it. The more you can create a routine, the less decision making you have to make, and the more this just becomes habitual, and that's the exact point you want to get to. So this just does become second nature. It becomes a part of you. It becomes a lifestyle that you don't even have to think about, because this is just what you eat at certain times, and you never want to sort of go 3 to 4 hours without eating. So I'd always say making sure that you make sure you've got your food prepped and prepped with you, so that you know what you're going to have, or at least you know what you're going to have at that time. Because when you leave big gaps sort of in between eating, then that's where the hunger comes up and the cravings come in, and you can make poor choices or make poor choices from that place, because you're acting from a point of real hunger. Whereas if you were prepared and organised, then you would have your food there just to eat. So this is why I'm huge on making sure that you plan snacks in as well. And a lot of people always say to me, I love snacking though, and I'm like, well, there's nothing wrong with snacking, but we just need to make sure that your meals are balanced and they're actually calorie dense enough. Because another issue I see a lot of people making is that the calories are too low, the calories are too little in the meals, and that's what's making them hungrier an hour or two later, because it's not substantial. So making sure they're balanced, making sure they're substantial, so that you're not getting hungry, and you can sustain basically what you're doing. And then another thing, I feel like I'm just going off on tangents here, but it's all good because it's all relevant. So balanced meals, making sure that all of your meals are balanced, making sure you've got your pre-planned snacks in, and making sure that each meal does contain a portion of protein and a portion of fat and enough protein. So another thing that I notice when people start working with me is that the diet is too low in protein, and the world's gone the other way at the moment. The world is now glamorizing super high protein diets, and we don't need to eat anywhere near as much as protein as these people are claiming that we need to make. But we do need to have enough protein in our diet each day to preserve our muscle mass, and also to help keep us fuller for longer. And when we have a high protein diet, or enough protein in our diet, it keeps our hunger at bay, it keeps our cravings at bay. And when we pair protein with fibre and fats, and also carbohydrates, and we have that balanced meal, it keeps our blood sugars nice and stable. And the reason when our blood sugars aren't stable is because our diets are predominantly high in carbohydrates, lacking in fat and protein and fibre. And the reason when we have carbohydrates on their own, it just spikes blood sugars. Whereas when we pair carbohydrates with protein, fat or fibre, it slows down gastric emptying, and it slows down the release in carbohydrates, so that it's not the spike and the crash isn't as high, and it keeps our blood sugars sort of stable. And also your choice of carbohydrates matters as well. So you've got two different carbohydrate sources. You've got simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates are more like your simple sugars basically, so sugary carbohydrates like your biscuits and chocolate and things like that. Whereas your complex carbohydrates, your simple ones don't have a lot of fibre basically, and that's why it spikes the blood sugars really fast. Whereas your complex carbohydrates do have a lot of fibre in them. So this is where your oats come in, your potatoes, your veggies, things like that. They are built with fibre in them, they're made with fibre in them, so they naturally release glucose into the bloodstream a lot slower, because there's a slower releasing form of energy from carbohydrates, which helps keep the blood sugars a bit more balanced, because it isn't as big of a spike and as big of a dip. So your choice of carbohydrates matters as well. And this is why looking at your overall diet is so important, because we can look and see, right, okay, how does my diet look at the moment? Is it balanced? Am I getting protein at every meal? Do I have enough healthy fats in the diet? Am I getting enough complex carbohydrates? Am I getting enough fibre in there? And the easiest way to do this, I would say, is to just make sure you're having 3 regular meals per day. If you don't want a calorie count, make sure you're having 3 regular meals per day, 3 regular balanced meals, and use portion control. You can use this in form of a plate, or you can use your hand. If you're using a plate, then I'd say 1/4 of your plate protein, the other 1/4 of your plate complex carbohydrates, and then the half of your plate being fibre. So lots of veggies, lots of salad items, and then just use like a tablespoon or like a thumb serving size of fats, to just get some healthy fats in there. So whether it be like a little teaspoon of olive oil. Honey's a simple carbohydrate. It's got no fibre in it, but you can add in some olive oil, you can add in half an avocado, you could add in like 10 cashew nuts, 10 almond nuts, things like that, some healthy fats in there. And also fats are so beneficial because they help us absorb fat soluble vitamins from our food, which is our vitamins A, D, E and K, and without the presence of fat, these vitamins won't be absorbed. So that's why it's always good to be having some sweet potato. Put like 5 to 10 grams of Kerrygold butter on that, or have it with some salmon to get your healthy fats from that protein source, and then the fats will just help absorb the vitamins from that meal as well. So don't be scared of fats either. Thanks to Slim and World for fucking everyone's relationship up with fats and terrifying women into counting fats as sins. We need them for our hormone health, and we need them for our overall health, to be honest, brain health and heart health. So important. So don't fear adding fats to meals, but that's how I would structure the plate. And then if you wanted to use your hand to portion your food, it's palm of protein, fist of carbohydrates, thumb of fats, and then it's 2 fists of veggies or salad items. But I think the plate method's easier. When we use the plate method, don't say that's the plate. You want to keep it flat, don't pile it up, don't have bump of protein, bump of carbohydrates, bump of fats. Add as much veggies as you want. I actually just tell my clients to eat unlimited vegetables, because it's something that we're just lacking, and to be honest, this is where the volume eating comes into it. So I don't know whether you've heard of volume eating, but volume eating is a term used where we focus on having a lot of volume in the diet through food items that are naturally low in calories but provide a lot of volume to help with. So when we eat them, it takes up a lot of space in the stomach, and when our stomachs feel full, then we naturally stop eating, or not wanting to eat as much. So for example, fruit is an amazing example here. Fruit, veggies, salad items, fruit, let's use strawberries as an example. 100 grams of strawberries. After this podcast, go and weigh 100 grams of strawberries or 200 grams of strawberries, and 100 grams of strawberries is 30 calories. And this is literally, I'm talking a big bowl of strawberries is 30 calories. So this is why you can fill up on these foods, and this is actually a marketing tactic that a lot of coaches do. They'll say things like, I help women lose weight by eating more food. And people are like, well, how? And it's well, they're just being very clever in how they structure your nutrition and giving you more volume foods in your diet, so you feel like you're eating more, but you're just being more savvy with your nutritional choices. And when you tidy up your diet and you switch from a diet that's high in refined sugar, high in processed foods and ultra processed foods and takeout and alcohol, and you do focus more on a whole food single ingredient diet, then you naturally massively reduce your overall calorie intake anyway, because they're the foods that are highest in calories, and can cause you to overeat and overindulge and spike your blood sugars, and then cause the crashes and cause you to eat more, because they're highly palatable, they lack in fibre, and they're designed to do that. They're designed to make you eat more. So by you tidying up your diet, focusing on those things can just massively help with reducing your calorie intake anyway, and helping you lose weight without even calorie counting. And to be honest, it's all about that. When it comes to nutrition, it is all about that low hanging fruit. You don't need to download MyFitnessPal and an app to tell you what to eat. Something that a lot of people have come away from is trusting their own body's hunger and fullness cues. And some people, this is an issue for, but a lot of the time, some people just are not in tune with the body, or how they're eating on the go, they're eating when they're rushing around, they're grabbing things, and they're not present. So this is why I recommend to make sure that you are sitting down every time you make a meal. Make sure you're sitting down and you are present. You're chewing your food and you're taking your time, you're eating it slowly, and you're listening to how the body's feeling, and stopping when you get full. You don't need to go beyond that or past that. Just eating to a point of close to fullness and then stopping. And listening to the body's hunger cues as well. Not a little bit of hunger, especially when you're dieting, is okay. Learning to be okay with sitting with that tiny bit of discomfort that comes from hunger. Nothing bad's going to happen. You're going to get fed in half an hour or an hour's time. Are you thirsty? Can you have a chewy? Can you go for a walk? What can you do just to basically hold off until your next meal? And looking at things as well, are you eating out of habit? Are you eating out of emotion? Are you eating out of stress? And this is where the structure and the habits and the routines come into it, and having rules in place. I eat my breakfast at 9, I have my lunch at 1, I have a snack at 4 before I go to the gym. Come home, I have my tea, I have my evening snack, my little dark chocolate or my Greek yogurt before bed, and then I don't eat after 8 o'clock. Because a lot of people as well, they get on the couch at night and it's Netflix and chill vibes, and they've gone to the shops and they've got the snacks ready. And when you're just mindless eating, it's so easy to just plough through hundreds of thousands of calories, and then that's where the weight gain comes in, because you feel like you're not eating a lot, and you feel like your diet's pretty good throughout the day, but then when you actually sit down and look at it, oh shit, I actually ate about 1,000 calories in dairy milk last night, and I've consistently been doing that most evenings. So to answer that one question in 28 minutes. Oh, these are meant to be bite-sized episodes, but hey ho, this can be a bit of a longer episode. So yeah, you don't need to calorie count. You can massively reduce your calorie intake by following a more whole food diet, reducing the amount of refined sugar, processed foods, ultra processed foods, the amount of takeouts, cooking more from home, tuning into your hunger and fullness cues, portion control, creating a routine and structure around your nutrition, eating more balanced meals. And if you want me to take the guesswork out of it with the done for you plan, or you want nutritional coaching around that, just drop me a message and we can have a chat about that. So I hope that helps. Next question. How to stop, let me just make sure I read this right. How to stop snacking at work when surrounded by treats and peer pressure. Okay. So I think this will resonate with so many people, because I've worked in an office in the past. I worked in an office from when I was 16 till I was 25, I think, 26. So a good 10 years of my life was spent in a busy office. I actually worked for Berry doing payroll and finance. I wanted to be an accountant, and I was never cut out for it because I couldn't even pass my exams. So yeah, maths wasn't my strong suit, so I don't actually know why I went down a career path of wanting to become an accountant. I think because everyone knew that accountants earned lots of money, that I thought, right, I'll choose that career path even though I was shit at maths. But anyway, I remember when I was in the office, there was always a biscuit tin, always cakes and chocolate, and it was always someone's fucking birthday. Also, or Brenda had bringing homemade cookies and cupcakes, and then there was charity events, and there was just chocolate, cakes and biscuits everywhere constantly. And you'd be like walking past them, and before you'd even, like, you'd walk past, grab one, it'd be in your mouth before you'd even sat back down. It was just so mindless and just normal behaviour in the office. And I feel like the office is a bit of a danger zone. So, like, if this is you, like, you're not alone, and the struggle is real. But what I'm going to do is let's break it down into some strategies to reduce temptation and to handle peer pressure without feeling awkward. And this really does my head in, actually, like, because this used to happen to me a lot when I was in the office, like, people commenting on, oh, is that all you're having for your lunch? And it's like, which, like, me having chicken, sweet potato, avocado and some veg, like, this is a substantial meal, love. Like, yeah, this is what I'm having for my lunch. What are you having? A little tuna crunch butty? Like, it just does my head in that people feel like it's okay to comment, shame and judge on your nutritional choices and what you're doing. Like, imagine, I wouldn't start shaming you if I seen you going that butty van this morning, getting a sausage butty, or whatever it was that you had at 8 o'clock this morning. Imagine, like, it's just not something, it shouldn't be done either way. Like, there should be no shame and no judgment that's happening around someone's nutritional choices. And, or like people commenting like, oh, you're not gonna, oh, just have one, it's not gonna hurt, it's not gonna do you no harm. Or oh, you're bored, no, you being good. Oh, you sit there and eat your salad and things, and it's just like, no one asks for your opinion, and it really annoys me. But I'm going to give you some little strategies so you can keep calm in the office and not want to punch one of your co-workers. No, I'm only joking. I'm feeling really playful today and quite silly, and which is nice for me, because I haven't felt like this for a while. I feel like I'm getting a little bit of me back today. So yeah, I'm definitely being a bit different on today's podcast, but it's all good. I'm actually really enjoying recording this, and it feels like it's like free flowing things. But anyway, let's get back to this. So mindset first. You are not rude for saying no. You're not being boring. You're not being too healthy. You're just someone with goals. And your choices deserve just as much as respect as someone that's saying yes to the cake. So, and it can literally be a simple response when someone asks you, do you want, do you want a piece of cake? It's like, oh no, I'm fine, thanks. And then that's it. Like, it doesn't need an explanation. It doesn't need anything. Oh no, I'm fine, thanks. Or you can actually say, if someone's proper pestering you, just say, oh yeah, go on then, I'll take it home. And then don't, and put it in the bin, or give it to your partner or someone when you get home. Or you can even say like things like, it looks amazing, but I've had loads of sugar lately, so I'm just having a little break. Or, oh no, I'm being good at the moment, I'm doing really well on my diet, so I'm gonna stay on track. Or I've brought something with me, I'm going to have it for my lunch in a minute, I'm really looking forward to having that, but thanks for offering. Like, it can be as simple as that, but it doesn't need an explanation. And if people are pushing, just ignore them. Like, if they start making comments about your choices, like, just say, oh, shut up you, leave me alone. Or just say, you have my slice, why are you so bothered about what I'm not having? And usually, like, this is, it's the person that's commenting and the person that is doing the peer pressuring is usually the person that, like, it says more about the person than it does about you and what you're doing, because it's often their own guilt and own insecurities or own fear of being like left behind because they can't do what you're doing to achieve their goals. It makes them want you to join in on what they're doing to make them feel that bit better about themselves. Misery literally loves company, but don't ever shrink yourself for someone else's comfort. Okay, don't ever water yourself down to make someone else feel comfortable. Don't ever do that. Don't ever play small. You don't owe anyone an explanation for wanting to achieve your goals or feel better in your body. You're allowed to have goals. You're allowed to say no, and saying no doesn't make you boring. It makes you focused and it makes you an inspiration. And if someone's bothered by your self-discipline, then that is their work to do on themselves and why they feel that way and what's coming up for them by you saying no, what's triggering something and what's being triggered inside of them when you say no. That is their work to do, not yours. So basically just ignore them ignore them and just carry on with what you're doing and just let your choices speak for themselves, because in a few weeks time when you're stoned down, you're feeling amazing, you're bubbly, you're happy, you're feeling accomplished, and you're just walking in the office with confidence and you've got this gorgeous outfit on and you're rocking your new body shape and you're feeling all amazing, people will be like, hey, you look amazing, what have you been doing? Not eating them fucking biscuits that you've been pressuring me to eat every single day. That's what I've been doing. Delaying that gratification, my loves. No, I'm joking, but they will start asking. So the ones that are pressuring are always the ones that end up asking what you've been doing. But another thing you can do when you are going into the danger zone, the office territory, is making sure that, or the office kitchen territory or snack room, whatever you want to call it, is make sure you're prepared. Make sure you are prepared and organised, and it's one of the things I say to my clients. I say every week and remind them, every week in the check-ins, every week in the apps, every week on our coaching calls. If you are not sitting down and you are not mapping out your week with your nutrition, then you don't know what you're having for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, etc., you're going to set yourself up to fail. You have to know exactly what you're eating, so for breakfast, lunch and dinner, so that you can buy what you need to buy, and then you can prep your breakfast, prep your lunch, prep your snacks and take it with you. And it's no excuse that you work in an office, because there's so many thousands of other people that are working in an office and still losing weight. Like, you have to try and figure out something that works for you. So if like the simplest things to do is making like overnight oats or the overnight Weetabix. Make 5 of them for the week on a Sunday. Make them Monday to Friday. They're not going to go off. Just what I'll do is, like, if you're adding fruit to the top, and which I recommend you do, because balanced meals, remember, we need to get our fibre in there and nutrients. So make it just adding in like your fruit at the end. When you take it out on a Monday morning, add your fruit in then. Don't make it up and put the fruit on the top, because it might go soggy, but everything else will be fine. It can be as simple as making a smoothie in the morning and taking it with you, or leaving a bag of protein powder at work and leaving your shaker at work and some of your own milk in the fridge, or if you've got a freezer, leaving some ice in the freezer, or even taking some ice with you, but it might melt depending on how long your commute is to work. And making your own just simple protein shake when you get to work, or having it as a snack. Like, something I used to do was I would get into work like 20 minutes early, and then I would make my porridge in the microwave. So I'd take a sachet of oats, I would add my water to it, I'd stir in my protein powder, I'd already weighed and chopped my strawberries up before I got there. I would then put them on and I'd eat them in the office before I started work at 9. Then I would always have, I'm surprised I haven't got my mercury levels on through the roof from doing this, so don't do this, but what I did do was leave a packet of wraps in work, some light mayo, some tins of sweet corn and tins of tuna, and every single day, I'm not joking, I ate a tuna wrap. It took 5 minutes to make, throw together. and I'd just take in some lettuce and leave it in the fridge as well, or little salad items, and that was it. And then I'd always have in my drawer my rice cakes, and I'd always have peanut butter and banana. So that was my little afternoon. I'd have one in the morning, rice cake, peanut butter and banana, and same in the afternoon, and I'd weigh out my 20 gram of peanut butter in my little pots on a Sunday. And then I'd always just prep me food, me evening meals on the Sunday for 3 days ahead, so when I got home, my chicken was prepped, my sweet potato was prepped, and I just needed to make some veggies and pile it all together, and that'd make me Greek yogurt. You have to make sure that you are prepared. You know exactly what you're having for breakfast. Your breakfast is going to be substantial enough that it satiates you and keep you full until lunchtime, or make sure you've got your snacks there, so that when people do come around with the cakes and sort of the temptation's high, you're like, no, I'm fine, I've got my food today, I'm fine. Or take some dark chocolate in or something like that. Or if you're really struggling with temptation, you're feeling a bit left out, then maybe like once a week, to just show that what you're doing is sustainable and you want to be a bit flexible, then take in your own 100 calorie, I don't know, snack bar or something like that, so that you can still feel a part of it. But they're my best tips on how to stop snacking at work, and align with your goals as well. Like I spoke about this last night on last night's coaching call. Living in line with your values, and if you don't know what your values are, this is a whole other podcast in itself, but I want you to go and YouTube Dr. Demartini and find out what your values are and what you truly value in life. And when you live in alignment with your values, it's so easy to just make choices that are based on your highest value. So if health and well-being is of value to you, one of your highest values, like snacking at work isn't going to even bother you, because you're too focused on achieving your goals or too focused on your value that doesn't even come into your mind. You have got blinkers on. And I was like this when I done my photo shoot. I had nothing bothered me. I didn't care whether Jake was having takeaway. I didn't care whether he was on the couch eating biscuits and chocolate next to me and crisp. I didn't care about going out for food and not ordering anything, because I was so focused on my goals, and my photo shoot was my highest value. I was laser focused on that goal. There was nothing bothering me. So it's about you checking in with your goals as well, and your values, and what you value most and what you want to achieve. So have a little look at that. I will go into values and stuff on another podcast. I think it's so relevant. And then another question that I've been asked is about getting enough protein in the diet. This is a 3-part question this person asked. How to know if I'm getting enough protein, how to know if I'm eating the correct foods, and I struggle with meal planning. So getting enough protein, I briefly touched on this before. We need to have around about 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight, I'd say. A lot of people are pushing more than that and saying 1 gram per pound of body weight, but I wouldn't say that. I'd say it's 0.8 gram, and it's actually not of your body weight, it's actually of your lean mass, which is what you have on you that isn't body fat. So it's actually a lot less. We don't actually need a lot of protein that people are pushing, but if you're unsure, go to my calculator on my website and it'll tell you how much protein you need to have. If you don't want to count calories, then I'd make sure that you're having 3 to 4 servings of around 30 gram of protein 3 to 4 times per day, so you are getting around the 120 gram of protein mark, which is probably enough for most people. And if you don't know what that looks like, if you don't know what a portion of protein looks like, message me protein and I'll send you over the list, so that you have this and you know what you need to have and how much of that food item you need to have to make sure that meal contains a sufficient amount of protein. And then it's important to notice the protein sources that you have, and I see everyone at the minute filling the protein up with just shit protein sources, like protein yogurts, protein water, protein crisp, protein biscuits, protein bread. Fuck off. it does my head in, like, it's gone absolutely, sorry I've swore so much in this episode. It doesn't need, things just don't need injections of protein into them, to be honest. Like, you want to be making sure that your protein sources are coming from things like meat, fish, eggs, milk, Greek yogurt, dairy, like natural food sources that aren't highly processed. And there's nothing wrong with them being processed, but the reason why we want to focus on having natural protein sources is because of the amino profile of them. Like, they have like essential amino acids, and there's 9 of them in like natural protein sources. And if your diet isn't predominantly made up of natural protein sources, then you're going to be lacking the essential aminos for satiation and muscle building or muscle retention and things like that. So don't be focus on getting your protein sources from actual protein, so animal protein sources, or like meat, fish, eggs, dairy, things like that, rather than all these things. If something is marketed as protein, then just don't have it. It's okay now and again to top like your protein off if you feel like you're lacking, or you're out for the day and you just need to grab something, then that's fine. But don't make your diet up or hitting your protein goal through these food sources. Focus on single ingredient choices. And because like chicken's high in protein and fish, but you don't see that labelled high protein, do you? Eating the correct foods. So I would say focusing on everything I've spoke about here, like making sure your diet is high in meat, fish, eggs, dairy, vegetables, complex carbohydrates, and keeping sort of refined sugar, processed foods, alcohol, takeaways to a minimum. You can't go far wrong there. And making sure you're having enough fruit, getting your 5 a day in of fruits and veggies, nuts, seeds, and always asking yourself, like, what is this food I'm putting into my body giving me? Is it giving me nourishment? Is it giving me antioxidants? Am I getting fibre from it, protein from it? Like, how is my body benefiting from this food that I'm putting into my body? Like, what's it provide me? And it'll help when you're making choices. And something that I always used to say was, there is no such thing as good or bad foods, but I've actually changed my viewpoint on that now. And I would say that, and the reason why I used to say that was because I was someone who had orthorexia. So I used to only eat clean. I'd never eat anything that was deemed as bad. I'd only eat like chicken and broccoli. I was terrified of carbohydrates, because I just didn't understand energy balance, and I thought that there were certain foods that were bad and that was making me gain weight, but it was the over restriction, the deprivation that was leading to the binging, that was then leading to me eating a shit ton of calories. And then I was eating at maintenance, even though I was feeling like I was really dieting and trying hard, that I couldn't maintain my weight. And I thought there was good or bad food, and that led to orthorexia and a poor relationship with foods. I've always been very careful on the language I use around food, because I'd never ever want anyone to end up in the position that I was in. But I just didn't understand energy balance, and it takes a calorie deficit to lose weight. There is not one food that makes you gain weight. There isn't one food on this planet that makes you gain weight. It comes down to eating in an energy surplus. That's how you gain body fat over time. But when it comes to now, like, good and bad foods, like, I would say there definitely is, like, and it's okay to say that, like, there is foods that are good or better for us because they provide us with nourishment, vitamins, minerals, fibre, protein, healthy fats, nourishment. So yeah, eat more of them. And then the bad is usually the things we like high in calories, low in vitamins, low in fibre, highly processed, trans fats, just doesn't provide the body with any nourishment, anything good whatsoever, and it actually makes sticking to a calorie deficit a lot harder, because of the calories that are because the foods are so high in calories. So they're the bad. So reduce them and keep them to a minimum, and focus more on having more of the good and less of the bad. That's what I'd say. And then this person also asked about meal planning as well, but I feel like I spoke a bit about that on when I was talking about snacking at work. So I'd treat it exactly the same, just making sure that you're sitting down at the beginning of the week, mapping out your week, planning ahead, buying only what you need from the shops, and just asking yourself a simple question, right? Okay, what do I enjoy eating for breakfast? What fills me up? What do I love eating for lunch? What fills me up? And choose 1 or 2 things, 3 things max. You don't need to have a different breakfast or lunch every day. You're just making life so much harder than it needs to be. Pick 1 to 3 things, I'd say 2 at max, and just rotate between them, between lunch and dinner. Plan your snacks in, keep them consistent, keep them the same. Again, it removes the decision fatigue, it removes the guesswork. And then evening meals, write down what you're going to have. Again, I'm a creature of habit, I have the same thing most nights, or I'll rotate between 2 to 3 different meals. If you're cooking for a family, then you might want to sit down with your family and ask your family, right, what do we all want to eat for tea this night, this week, each night this week, and get that information from them. But just making sure you're planning ahead on like a Saturday or a Sunday, so that you're going into the week with structure, with direction, and then you've got everything you need in. You can prep what you need to prep, and then it just makes sticking to the plan so much easier when you're prepared, you're organised, you have structure and you have direction. And then I've got one more question. Lack. I'm struggling with fat loss from lack of mobility due to an injury. And it's so frustrating when you are on a health and fitness journey, and like sometimes you feel like you're doing amazing, ticking all the boxes, you've got all green lights, everything is going so well, and then you're faced with an injury or something happens and you're like, oh God, like what am I going to do now? I'm not going to be able to exercise and things. But what I'd always say in these circumstances is focus on what you can control and not what you can't control. So if you're someone that has had a knee replacement, then yeah, you might not be able to go to the gym and squat and deadlift for a few months, but that doesn't mean that you can't go swimming. That doesn't mean that you can't do upper body workout. That doesn't mean you can't do band work, and maybe focus on your glutes and focus on things that you can control around the injury or around the operation. And if the goal is weight loss, and you can create a calorie deficit through your nutrition. You don't actually need to exercise to create a calorie deficit. So if that's something you're struggling with and you want me to help with your nutrition whilst you are recovering, then let me know. Because nutrition is so important during a recovery phase to help you actually recover and maintain your muscle mass and stuff. But yeah, focusing on what you can control rather than focusing on what you can do rather than what you can't do during these circumstances is really, really helpful. So yeah, that's all I've got to say around that. But I'm going to end this podcast. This was only meant to be a little 20-minute bite size one, but it ended up being nearly an hour. So I hope you found today's episode useful. I know I went off on a lot of tangents and had a little bit of swearing, but you know what? It's okay. I think it's okay. So I get a lot of emails now, and I'll make sure I won't swear again if I do. But yeah, I hope you found it useful. Let me know if you've got any questions that you want me to cover, any topics that you want me to cover, and I'll make sure that I do that. But have a gorgeous day. Thank you so much for listening if you're still here. I appreciate you. And if you are enjoying what you're listening to, then please give me a follow and rate my channel or rate my Spotify, because it actually shows up to more people then, and I can help more people. So yeah, have a gorgeous day everyone, and I will see you in the next episode.